For today's shoot, we are creating a luscious, glamorous maternity session. Hey everybody, Lindsay Adler here, and I've been a portrait photographer for more than 2 decades. And when I first started, I got bored of portrait photography because I thought I had to follow a certain formula. There were certain expectations, and my images felt stale. But now that I've done fashion photography and I've been shooting for so long, I realize that I can treat every session that I do and every single client like it's a fashion shoot. I include hair and makeup, wardrobe, concept, DIY set design, and that's what you're going to see today in this creative maternity session. I have a monthly membership platform called Learn Plus, and each month we pick a different theme, and I shoot 6 different concepts in this theme. And recently, one of the episodes was themed Creative Maternity. So if you want to check that out, I have information in the description below. But let's start off with the concept of this shoot. So I photographed Gio before in red, and she looks incredible. And I recently found out that she is about 6 months pregnant. I said, perfect, I want to photograph something that suits her. She is strong and she is beautiful and she looks great in this color in this scene. So I'm like, let's do something a little different for her, something atypical for maternity. So recently from one of my workshops, I actually purchased some red shag carpets that I built a little set and said, why can't I bring that into the maternity shoot? So the set that we have here has 2 key elements, the red shag carpet that I got online, and then a Savage Universal primary red background. Now that's the floor, the background, but let's bring red through the rest of the shot, both with her lipstick, which maybe is a little unusual to have red lips for maternity, as well as the red dress. This red dress is actually from a company based in Italy called Sartoria. I have a link in the description. They specialize in maternity dresses. And so I saw this and I'm like, great, this is right up my alley. All right, so just a couple things to consider. There are some basic maternity poses, the essentials, and typically they're standing, but I wanted to do something different. So we decided to have my subject recline. However, she is only 6 months pregnant, and typically when I would do a maternity session, it would probably be in the 7.5, 8 months pregnant, somewhere in that time range, because the subject not only shows more, but you don't want them so far along that it's too difficult to pose. Now, because of that, I need to pick poses where I'm definitely emphasizing the baby bump, and I probably want to light in a way that will cast a shadow underneath just to make sure there's some definition. So the posing and the lighting need to work together. For this set, we're going to use a total of 3 lights, and I'm going to build them in one by one and show you what they're contributing to the shot. For our first light, over on the right-hand side of the frame, I am using a 3-foot Octabox with a grid, and you'll notice that it's raised up quite high above her. That's going to carve out her cheekbones, her jawline, and really contour out her stomach. The key, however, is if I go with a light at that high of an angle, she's going to need to keep her chin up slightly or more toward the light. Now, as I pose her around, this is the one light that will need to move. So for example, if I lay her on her back, we will need to position. And that's why I'm shooting tethered. As I shoot tethered, all of the images come in so I can see if we need to make a tweak to that main light. Most of the changes will be pretty minor, but it will be really important to make sure that not only her body, but also her face looks fantastic in her maternity session. All right, so let's begin with that 3-foot octa, creating soft light, and the grid to prevent the light from hitting the background. So as you can see, everything in this shot looks really luscious already, and by having the light at such an angle, it's raking across not only her body, but also the shag carpet, which I think is interesting. Now, I think I could probably do this image as a 1 light shot, but I would like to add a little more separation, a little bit more curve to her body, which is what those other 2 lights are doing. I have 2 1x4-foot strip softboxes with grids. The one over to the right-hand side is lighting a little bit of her hair, maybe her shoulder. The one back behind her is lighting her hips, the side of her leg. Now, what's nice about having both of these is regardless of where she poses, it's going to make sure there's some separation because she is wearing a dark red on a dark red background, and so we don't want her to blend in too much. I, however, don't want these to be distracting. I still want all the attention to go to her face and then to her baby bump, so it should be pretty subtle. All right, so let's turn on those 2 rims. All right, so you can see here that there is a little bit more separation on the side of her dress, her arm, and her body, but again, it's nothing distracting. So this shot could be achieved with 1 light. By adding 2 more for a total of 3, I've got more separation. And if you wanted to, you could add additional lights. If you think the background is too dark, you could add a grid on the background for some separation. You could add a fill light if you think the shadow side of the face is too dark. But I'm really liking how unusual, low-key, and luscious this is. It's not something I've seen for maternity. So I'm going to stick with this setup. Now, for these shots, I'm shooting with the Canon R5 and the RF 24-105 lens. And how I think I'm going to really get interesting shots is changing my angle, moving around, getting lower, getting higher, paying attention to where her pose is emphasizing the baby bump. I'm going to pay attention to her head and the angle and the way it's catching light. So it's going to be a combination of her pose, my camera angle, as well as my focal length. That's where the magic is going to happen. And of course, her expression. All right, so with that, let's get the shot. So does this look like typical maternity to you? I would say probably not. And guess what? The whole set could be relatively simple. That shag carpet was under $100, a solid red background, and then 1, 2, or 3 lights. But it's about the whole thing coming together. The unusual color choice, the texture, the background, the lighting, it's all of those elements. So if you want to see the gear that I use to make these beautiful maternity images, be sure to check out the links in the description below. And of course, visit adorama.com. And if you've enjoyed these videos, you can go to learnwithlindsay.com or visit my membership platform if you want to see more of my creative maternity sessions. See you next time, guys.